Hey everyone, welcome to I can't even speak today. Dose of Truth Tarot chats. Maybe I should keep quiet. I don't know where my head is. I'm being verbally dyslexic this week. It's been happening a lot.
Yeah, it seems like it's going around. There are quite a few people who are just having trouble speaking, trouble with energy, and all kinds of stuff. Who knows? Maybe it's Mercury, or it's solar flares, or it's some of us are more in transformation than others. And so you feel these moments a little bit more strongly than usual, which brought me to what I thought we would do over the next several weeks, something, fun to look at when you put out a reading. And I like putting out 9 cards, or you could put out a Celtic cross or a 9-card spread. And I'm going to do it really simply just for you to take a peek. You can look at the dominant part of the most numerous suit or major arcana. Or it could also be court cards, but you could just put those in the suit. I'm not going to teach you how to do it, but I just thought it would be an interesting talk. When you have, let's say you put out a 9-card spread or a Celtic cross, and you've got mostly cups, right? And also be looking at your cards upright. If you want to do this and then share what you came up with, do it upright. So, we don't get too many complex questions with inverted. One of the reasons I stopped, I thought it was a good idea. First, we said, okay, let's do it more simply to teach tarot for our course that Eloise and I have together, that we would do it upright to make it simpler. But that process over the last few years of doing it upright, I realized why people have misunderstandings when the card's inverted, because they end up reading positive and negative in the card by virtue of its upright or inverted position. And there's a loss of complexity. So I think when you're learning how to do cards, how to read, even for years later, look, here I am, 50 years later, reading cards and realizing, you get a lot more understanding of duality within the cards if you leave them all upright. And then if you use inverted, there'll be a richness rather than, it's inverted, so it must mean it's negative.
Yeah, because that's what everybody thinks. It's upside down. It's got to be the bad, negative. And yet there's so much complexity there.
Exactly. It really gets complex. So, I've decided that would be really, once someone is able to read really well the cards, then we could introduce the complexity of inversion. I don't think I'll do that here. Sorry, there's someone pinging me, but I have to.
There's a ping. Stop pinging us.
Well,
they want a session. They want a tarot reading.
Yes. So if you would, when you're doing this, unless you're an advanced reader and want to share your insights that are not just, it was upside down, so it's negative. Because I always found with cups, if the cup was upside down, you'd see the water pouring out, and that made it easier to understand. But then I realized, no, people are not understanding the complexity, especially when you're learning or even intermediary. I've had a lot of seasoned tarot readers come, and the little perspective I had was fresh for them. They went, oh wow, I hadn't seen it that way and hadn't seen this way. And then of course I like to look at their way, and it's fresh. But this negative positive, I don't like it, because an upright card should have the dark or shadow and light within it always, and you're developing the reading that way. So put your cards upright if you're going to do this and like to share. And now if you know how to do inverted and it's not just negation, go right ahead, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. So I'm going to talk separately just to work with one suit at a time. So the one I was meditating on for today was cups, and a lot of the cups are really nice. Except the 5 of cups, that's the one where you see a lot of worry. The 8 you get indolence, or no, sorry, it's not indolence. Yes, it is. It's indolence. The 7.
What does that word even mean?
Well, kind of a laziness.
Okay.
So, that's really hard to it's hard to interpret, but I'm not going to go through the individual cards. What I want to let me not go there, because you have to do the course for that. It's too big. Otherwise, we'd be teaching everything here. What I wanted to set up was, if you put out a reading and you get the majority cups, because you could do it for someone, and you start noticing, hey, let's say it's a Celtic cross, you have 10 cards, and a good 5 of them, maybe more, are cups. And you go, wow, lots of discussion here around emotion, around fluids, right? That's water in the body. So what would you be? I mean, obviously your other cards are going to determine exactly what's going on, but look around and see how you could put maybe a sentence together about what that dominant suit or major, and I'll review them a bit here so we could have a discussion, is going on for you. Because sometimes, like, how would you know if the cups were saying, oh, this person's going through a lonely time? You might have a card that helps you see that. Like, maybe this is a little bit extreme, but there could be a lot of feminine cards coming up, which means you're in your feminine, or the moon comes up. So this is something you do on your own. You could be supported, right? When I go through my feminine times, which is going down the rabbit hole and going into the dark side, or the what is unseen, then you might notice, well, what's happening to my emotions as I go through that? Or what if the Hermit comes up? It means maybe you need to go see someone, maybe you need to go see a therapist, or maybe it could also indicate that you're kind of alone in this. As much as you could have a million people around you supporting you, you're still alone through the journey. You still have to experience those emotions, right? You still have to experience the I'm trying to shut the Skype down because somebody's going to start
your notifications.
It's just impossible. It's just, well, I have everything on, but
if there's a lot of, no, it's okay. If there's a lot of cups in a reading, I'd either think someone was being very emotional, or they were going through a very emotional time. That would be one of my first thoughts. But when you were talking about having the Hermit there, I'm like, maybe they're not looking at their emotions and they need to. Could that be the case?
It could be, of course. Yeah, I would want another card, because if the Hermit comes up, and because there's always an exchange in tarot in some way. Like, even if I said to someone, well, it looks like you're going through an emotional time.
Most people could probably say yes to that at any moment for some reason.
For some reason or another, you could. Hopefully you would be more precise on exactly what the emotions are, and that's why I'm bringing this up. Then if the Hermit was there, it could suggest many things. It's a solitary time, you're walking a lone path, or you need to find someone who has the light to support you through this emotional time. I mean, it's got a lot of variations as to how you would exactly read that. Those are they're pretty decent ways of reading it. But if you had, let's say, judgment, those emotions would have a lot to do with karma. They're things that are maybe coming up from your past that are ready to be resolved emotionally, or past lives, there's emotional stuff coming through. Could be that. If you had the Tower, you'd have, it's so different, because the Tower would be talking about the ground kind of shifting under you and a structure falling like the Tower of Babel, and we all live in some Tower of Babel, one way or another. We believe we know better than the divine. We think we know better than the universe. We think we know what we should have, and we deserve it or whatever. And those things start to crumble, and you're going to have emotion coming out. So yes, you could say you're very emotional, but this is good. It's really like a release,
like a cathartic kind of
feeling. Letting go, releasing. So, depending on the majority of cards and whatever other card comes in, it's going to change the quality of those emotional cards quickly. Now, what if you have, you got the Queen of Swords, a Queen of Cups, and the Princess of Cups, and then, cups all over the place, and people around, and then maybe a little burnout somewhere. Let's say the Ten of batons. Or batons. Yeah. Well, and it could mean you're throwing your water all over everyone, which could sound really good. Oh, I'm really loving, and I put my water all over everyone. But it actually isn't. It's love that is tainted with conditions, right? You have all these conditions that go along with it. So I love this. I love people because it bolsters my ego, right? Because they appreciate me and they like me. Or you have the whiny kind of person, so you'd have a lot more of the Seven of Cups coming in, Seven of Cups, let's say, and maybe sacrifice, the Hangman, was sacrificed in the wrong way, so we have debauchery, which is Seven of Cups, to the Queen, the Hangman. It would mean, well, I give my love, but it actually is very tainted. It's tainted by, well, I give this sacrifice, so I get something back. Even when the person says, no, I don't. I don't expect a thank you. I just want to be appreciated. They'll always finish their sentence.
It's that transaction. It's everywhere.
It's a codependency, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes cups can be related to that emotional codependency. Of course, there are many other factors, which I'll bring up when it comes to the other cards. But yes, definitely that codependency that we have with pretty much everything that starts from our childhood. And you can often see that coming up in a reading as well. So yeah, basically look around, see if cups isn't your majority, then listen to the other subsequent videos that'll come up. We'll do all of them, and play around, or just put out a reading and throw in, a bunch more cups and see what it says. You wouldn't be necessarily reading yourself or anyone else, but you could play around and see what, how do I change the quality of these emotions? What changes the quality? How do they look? And maybe you come up with something. That's a great, fun exercise to do, because there's so many, there are these foundational emotions that we have, anger, sadness, grief, fear, worry, and joy, but there are also the subsets of emotions like hopelessness and loneliness and
frustration and
paranoia, shame, it just goes on and on. So, how do we figure these things out in the cards?
What would that one card have to be that shapes that and defines the emotion?
Or 3 cards have to be, or 5 cards. And also one of the things I noticed, it's you can put out a reading and read it literally like a book. Go from one card to the next and read it literally, which is very good practice to do. But it is not the most exciting of readings to read it like a book. So it's good to get how are they interacting? So some of the cards are moot, like they lend a tiny little sort of energy to the reading, but they don't necessarily need to be read literally.
Yeah.
Especially if you're more like me. If you're going to use 1 card, 2 cards, 3 cards, you need to use a lot of detail, the fewer the cards. But I tend to use a lot of cards. So many of them might come in and just give me as a group an energy. So you might even put out, and you see a lot of cups, and it just determines, okay, it's a period where you're going to be emotional. You're going to experience your emotions. There's going to be a lot of emotion, and that might be the end of it.
Yeah, you just transmute it or clear through it or whatever.
Or it's just planets influencing you. And it's like, well, yes, I am being very emotional. I've been crying a lot. Well, yeah, your reading shows that, and that's great. That's just what needs to happen. But if I got, hopelessness along with it, or someone's suicidal, that's definitely a different quality. Or when someone, thinks there's something wrong with, but I'm not like this usually. No, you're not. You're doing a cleaning out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If we go through a time when we're emotional, people jump to, oh, this is wrong. There must be something wrong. And it's like, you're just having a clear out. Simple.
Yeah, so it's also knowing when that is actually what's happening versus, oh, there's something else going on. Because don't forget, you do have an interaction with the querent, even though you're with the person, they're going to give you feedback. But I've always found that people may not understand your way of communicating. 1, 2, they're not always listening to what you're saying. They're listening to what they want to hear. 3, they can interpret what you're saying in a way that isn't what you meant to say or what you're meaning to say. I've had over and over and over again, whether I'm doing energy healing or tarot, they'll come to the end. So generally, this is what you're saying, Terryann. And they'll tell me exactly what they think I said. And I'll just be like, actually, nowhere near what I said. I didn't even bring any of that up. So I find that so fascinating when they summarize it.
I'm sure I heard what you said, but I'm thinking about something else. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why I record everything for people. So we do have that exchange, but we have to remember people are not necessarily intentionally lying, but because we're so intensely involved in our own stuff, we have some willful blindness.
Yeah.
Which is the devil. And when you do see the devil come up, you can be pretty certain they're not going to hear you. So if there's an emotional upheaval and the devil comes up, they likely won't even hear the reader. This is when I accent. You probably can't hear me. I've said it so many times. You probably can't hear me. So whatever's happening today, whatever you're, experiencing, that's fine. Then go and listen to the audio. And inevitably I get a call and go, wow, I missed so much. Yeah. Especially we miss a lot. There are times we can miss some things. We're always going to miss something. We can't just take it all in. Of course we miss things, but there are moments where, you can pick up a lot more, make certain assessments, have a conversation about it. Because don't forget, I've had, those beautiful moments where people go, yeah, that's exactly what I'm experiencing. We can discuss it. I can go into more detail on a few cards. Whereas other times they just can't hear, and it's really hard to get one idea across. So, always be aware that even if you have somebody in front of you and you're talking about them, and I'm not saying that guarantees you're correct, but always ensuring that, your communication is clear. I always say, I could be dead wrong. That's fine. This could be dead off. Maybe I'm reading it completely wrong. Maybe we're just not connecting. And later on, because intuition is a very interesting thing, you're going to pick up on something and you're going to make some mistakes. And there's going to be some things that are, they get transformed and don't actually come to pass. There's so many things that can happen. We're constantly changing. What's I find really fascinating is, whatever the person is going through, and if we can get a nice connection going in the reading, we can actually, it becomes very healing, right? They can go, okay, so here's an absolute stranger who doesn't know me, and they're talking about me, and they're hitting the nail on the head. but they're telling me something completely different than what I assumed. So let's say you get this very emotional reading. It's like, wow, you have a lot of emotions coming up. That is exactly what needs to happen. Let's say the reading shows that, and you need to go through this. I might find a period of time, right? Like I might find 2 weeks or a month or a day, or it could be anything. I have no idea what it would be necessarily till I take a peek at that. And I go, oh, okay. Like, so what are some of the things you like to do when you're emotional? Some people go, I like to watch movies and eat chocolate. I'm like, okay, so do that for a month, and get yourself the best chocolate and your favorite movies, and, prop yourself up, make your environment beautiful so you could, do you like, when I need to cry and I can't, I love to watch sad movies and bawl my eyes.
We were talking about that the other week.
Yeah, we were, or listen to music that reminds you of things, and you just start to bawl, and it's just so helpful.
So
Even
cathartic.
Yeah. So lots of fun stuff. So let us know what you come up with, and then we'll cover the other topics as well. The other suits as well.
Yeah. Stay tuned for next week. Any questions, put them in the chat. And
don't forget, smash that like button, subscribe, share. It helps us out, and we can keep giving you this material you can work with. So no complaining about whether something is free or you have to pay for it. You can pay for it and get on and learn a lot more, but you also get this great access to material. So please help us out.
Yeah, and if you want to hear more from us, you can go to our website and leave your details.
Exactly. Cool. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.